If you're inside of a jail or a prison, I really want you to be thinking about the life you're going to have when it's better. It doesn't matter if you have a life sentence or if you have a sentence of a few weeks inside of a jail. You've got to be thinking about, what can I do to make things better? Now, in previous videos of this course, we spoke about the importance of having really clear values, of defining success. And today we're going to talk about, how do I know if the decisions that I am making are consistent with how I define success? Well, the way we do that is by we set really clear goals. The goals that we set should align with how we define success. My name is Michael Santos, and I'm the founder of Prison Professors, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity to share these messages with anybody who is in jail or prison. I'm very passionate about wanting to share the strategies that really helped me. I went into that system in August of 1987, 35 years ago, and I didn't conclude the sentence until 2013, which was after 9,500 days. But the transition back into society for me was different than for many other people who served multiple decades in prison. And the reason is because I always understood the importance of setting clear goals. Frankly, I shouldn't say always understood. I didn't understand it until I was serving my prison sentence, until I was really in the moment and saying, I hate being confined so much that I'm going to do whatever it takes to prepare myself so that when I emerge from prison, I emerge with my dignity intact and with opportunities to prosper or to thrive. I wanted to make sure that my prison sentence was not going to be what defined me, but rather the strategies that I used to engineer my pathway to success would define me. And that's what I'm striving to share through this course that we call Preparing for Success After Prison. We have way too many people that come out of the criminal justice system and face enormous challenges. They find real challenges in getting into the job market. They find real challenges in securing housing. They sometimes find challenges in getting a house at all. And many of them become homeless or unemployed or underemployed. But those who succeed have one thing in common, in my view: they prepared. Just like everyone who's going through this course can start preparing. And that preparation begins when we define success, and then when we set really clear goals that align with how we define success. In the video on values, I spoke about the three-pronged plan that I set when I started this journey in prison. It was going to be, for me, I was going to make sure I contributed to society in some kind of meaningful, measurable way. I was going to make sure that I earned a university degree, and I was going to make sure that I built a strong support network. But just giving those words is not the same thing as creating a pathway that will likely lead me to success as I defined it. Now, somebody else may define success differently, but for me, I knew I wanted to get out of prison and have opportunities to prosper, to build a better life, even though I had, a 45-year sentence that would translate into me serving 26 years. You see, I knew what the challenge was. What I had to figure out is, how do I prepare for success in spite of the challenge? And it's my view that anybody going through this course should be asking those similar questions. If I know what success is, what am I doing to reflect my commitment to success? What am I doing to prepare? And the sooner somebody starts asking that question, the more likely they're going to become of overcoming the challenges along the way, because they're going to see, what path can I sow? How can I engineer my way to get there? I remember when I was starting that sentence inside of the penitentiary, and I found my way to get into school. I mean, I got to the prison, I went to the library, I started researching other people who had become successful after an enormous struggle, and from that research, it led me to believe I have got to find a way to educate myself. Well, that became a very clear goal. I want to get a university degree. That wasn't enough. I had to make the goal a SMART goal. And that's something I want you to be thinking about as well. In what ways is your goal a SMART goal? And SMART goal is not a term that I came up with. It's an acronym that stands for specific goals. Like every letter in the acronym means something. So if it's a SMART goal, it's got to be specific, meaning it's got to be very, very clear of what that goal is going to be. That's the first component of a SMART goal, specific. The second component is it's got to be measurable. So you've got to be able to measure whether you've succeeded or you haven't. The third is it's got to be action-oriented. You've got to take action to get a SMART goal. The fourth is it has to be realistic. So it's got to be something that you can achieve. And the fifth is it's got to be time-bound. So specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-bound. Well, I said that I wanted to earn a university degree, but that's specific. It's measurable. Either I get a university degree or I don't. It's action-oriented. I can't just say I want to get a university degree. And it's realistic. There's a history of people in prison using their time in such a way to educate themselves and get a university degree. And the fifth, though, when I set the goal, it wasn't time-bound. So it wasn't quite a SMART goal. To make it a SMART goal, I had to make these goals time-bound. So I told you I had a very long sentence of 26 years inside. It was a 45-year sentence, but I could satisfy it in 26 years. I didn't know how to compute 26 years. I hadn't been alive that long. So I said, well, within my first 10 years, that's when I'm going to get my university degree. Now it was specific, it was measurable, it was action-oriented, it was realistic, and it was time-bound. Either I hit it or I didn't hit it. But I can remember how other people in prison responded to that real commitment to getting a university degree. I used to work out a lot when I was in prison. I was younger. I was in my early 20s. And I remember working out a lot. But I remember some of the guys saying, when I was working out would tell me, why are you spending so much time in school? Why is that so important for you when you've got a 45-year sentence? I mean, you got so much time to serve. Why would you wait so long? But here is the thing. I knew, or I believed, that if I got a university degree, I would be in a better position to open new opportunities. And that's what I would recommend to anybody watching this video or going through this course. If you're setting a goal, that goal has to align with what you defined as success, and it should be one in many series of goals that you're going to work toward along the way. If you set a SMART goal, that SMART goal theoretically should position you to become something more in the days, weeks, months, years, and decades ahead. It should help pay a dividend. It should help give you some type of reward that's going to make your life better. Not as I define life better, but as you define life better. So since I set a goal of earning a university degree, or I defined success as having a university degree, I had to finish the job by setting a goal that would align with my commitment to getting a university degree. And that meant I would get that first degree within 10 years. The same strategy I had to use with the other values I set that would define success for me. The second was to contribute to society in some kind of meaningful, measurable way. Remember, I said that was one of the ways that I defined success. Well, I don't know. I don't know how other people would say you could do that while you were in prison. But for me, I came up with this idea that, well, if I become a published author, then it would be self-evident that I am contributing to society in a meaningful, measurable way. Because as a published author, people would be either buying my literature or using literature that I wrote and published, which would generate revenues, and revenues, of course, generate taxes, and all of that makes it self-evident that I am contributing to society. Now, I didn't know how to publish anything when I was 23 years old, starting my life inside of a high-security prison. All I knew was that I could set a goal and that within 10 years, I will publish something. You can do the same thing. You can define success as something important in your life, and then you can set a measurable goal that will reflect your commitment to succeeding. I don't know what success is for you. It's different for every person. But the goals that the one person set should align with what he says wants to become. I know a lot of people in prison that are serving life sentences. And, then they're complaining while they're serving life sentences of how it isn't fair, but their behavior in prison is more consistent with serving a life sentence than persuading a governor or the president to commute their sentence and let them come home. Well, I want you to be thinking about that as well. How is your behavior aligning with what you define as success? And that doesn't mean always to say, I'm going to be a model inmate. What it means is you are really the architect of your own future, the CEO of your own life. You've defined success and you've set goals that align with success. For me, besides getting an education, which I defined as a university degree within 10 years, I was going to contribute to society in a meaningful, measurable way, which I defined as becoming a published author within 10 years. It's smart because it's specific. I'm either going to become a published author or I'm not. It's measurable. I can measure whether I've made progress and became a published author. I have to take action to do it. It's realistic. It's something that I've seen people become. I read George Jackson's book about his time in, I think it was San Quentin. It may have been Soledad. I read many books of people who were in prison who documented their stories. I said, that's realistic. That's something I can learn how to do. Even if I don't know how to do it now, I think that I can get there within 10 years. And the third way that I define success, the third prong of my three-pronged strategy to prepare for success after prison was that I wanted to build a strong support network. But that doesn't say anything. That's not clear. So I had to make it clear by making it a SMART goal. I had to make it specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-bound. So I remember at the same time that I was working toward my university degree, I set this goal of saying, okay, within 10 years, I will find 10 people that I don't know and 10 people that don't know me. And I will somehow find a way to make those 10 people advocates for me, my friends, my mentors, my role models, people that I would have a one-on-one relationship with and get them to help me. Now, I set that goal because I believed it aligned with that whole three-part strategy. If I got a university degree, I thought it would be easier for me to become a published author. And if I became a published author and had a university degree, I thought it would be easier for me to find 10 people that I didn't know and persuade them to believe in me. That was the strategy and the tactics that I used to get through the journey. Now, I am suggesting that you define success, but then you take the next step of the prerequisite, which is to set SMART goals that align with your definition of success, not my definition of success. There are some people that define success very differently while they're going through prison. Some people also make decisions while they're in prison that do not align with what they say they want to become. For example, if somebody wanted to do something different from me, that person might have chosen another great value. Maybe that person wanted to become a professional athlete. Well, that's certainly a possibility. It may be more difficult to do than even for somebody out here who says he wants to become a professional athlete. But it doesn't mean it's impossible. If somebody said, I want to become a professional athlete, maybe he needs to pick a sport. I want to become a professional tennis player. I want to become a professional distance runner. I want to become a professional basketball player. Well, if he knows what it is he wants to achieve, then the goals that he sets should align with what he said he wants to achieve. And I can't architect that for him. Nobody can. He's got to architect that strategy for himself, or he has got to find a mentor or a role model who will tell him what he should do. I want you to be thinking about that same approach, the strategy of defining success. The tactic is the goal that you are going to set that aligns with that definition of success. And it should never be some excuse that I can't do something because of where I am. You could, even if you're in the hole or in a special housing unit, or you're in a prison that seems to offer very little, you can be thinking about, okay, what can I learn that will help to accelerate my path to success? Remember, I told you at the start of my prison sentence, or I told you earlier during this module, that at the start of my prison sentence, other people used to, I don't know if I would say challenge me, but really question my sanity of why I would want to invest so much time to study when I had such a long sentence. But I can assure you that the investment that I made worked for me. It may not have worked for them because they may have defined success differently. They may have defined success as, I want to get a 405-pound bench. I want to make sure that I got 4 plates on each side of that bar and I can press 405 pounds. There's a lot of people that set that goal. I set goals like that when I was in prison, but that wasn't my primary goal. The goal that I set in one area may or may not harmonize with my overall goal. If I set a goal of having a 405-pound bench, I would have to devote the time, the energy, the commitment to train to get there. I can't fake it. That's a very specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, time-bound goal. I'm going to hit a 405-pound bench within the next 6 months. Great. How are you going to get there? You can't get there by talking about it. You got to do the job. You got to do the work. You got to put it in, and you cannot fake it. That was the same way I felt about saying I wanted to succeed upon release. I could talk all day long about how I was going to succeed upon release, but if I didn't put in the work, it wasn't going to happen any more than the guy who says he wants to bench press 400 plus pounds, but he doesn't do anything besides talking about it. We have got to be the masters of our destiny. We have got to realize that if we've got a criminal record against us, or if we've got a background that makes it difficult for other people to believe in us, we've got to work much harder than people who are not in jail or prison. That's what I felt from the beginning of my sentence, and I would love to say that was my strategy, but it wasn't. It's what I learned from leaders. I learned that leaders set incremental goals, knowing that those goals will open new opportunities. If you read this book, Earning Freedom, Conquering a 45-Year Prison Sentence, you're going to see that I'm not asking you to do anything that I didn't do. Because those goals that I said I was going to have a university degree within 10 years. I said that I was going to become a published author within 10 years. And I said that I was going to build a support network that would support me and advocate for me after during those 10 years. And I said that at the very start of my journey. I was just looking at this the other day. This is my prison ID card of when I was in there. And I used to carry it in this little billfold, so to speak, that I'd walk around. And this is because we didn't have pockets a lot of times. I had to create this little leather bound pouch. And I used to keep my commissary card or ID card right here. And right here, I kept a picture of my wife, right? This is the woman that I married inside of a federal prison. During my last Well, I think I'd been in prison for about 15 years when we got married in 2003. But the reason I'm telling you that is because that would have never happened. I never would have been able to persuade a woman to marry me inside of a prison visiting room if I didn't have this very deliberate, strategic approach to get through prison and to be able to talk about it. I first had to persuade her I didn't want to be a criminal, and the way I could do that is show her. I set these goals when I was starting my sentence, and one of those goals was to get a university degree. But because I got that university degree, not in 10 years, but I got the first university degree, I think in 3 years of being in the penitentiary, I had succeeded in persuading another university, Hofstra University, to admit me into a master's program. And then I got a master's degree. And then because I had an undergraduate degree and a master's degree, I could start building my support network stronger. And that's what led to these university professors to come and visit me and take an interest in me and critique me and help me develop my education. And then because of those people coming to meet me, they were also published authors. They wrote textbooks about prisons. And so they invited me to begin contributing chapters to the books that they wrote, which made me a published author. So none of that would have happened had I not been very aggressive in accelerating this path. Although I said I wanted to do it within 10 years, I was in my 8th year by the time I earned my master's degree. So I earned my undergraduate in 4, my master's in 8, and became a published author in like my 6th or 7th. So I was executing on all of those plans. And because of that, I built a really strong support network, primarily with university professors across the country. But because I was publishing a lot, more people became aware of my work. And that awareness is what led to me building more relationships. So if you work really hard today, that to me is evidence that you're going to continue working harder. And it's my belief that if you align that hard work with your values and goals, you are going to find more people to believe in you. And the more people who believe in you, the stronger you are going to be to become to prepare for success after release from prison. It was all of these people that came into my life that made everything possible for me. Because that they believed in me, they would introduce me to their friends, and then their friends began to believe in me. And that opened opportunities, just like you can open opportunities if you're pursuing this really deliberate path of identifying success, not as I define it, as you define it, setting goals that align with how you define success. Now, if you work through our course, the Preparing for Success After Prison's course that Prison Professors prepared, you will see I never ask anyone to do anything I didn't do. That doesn't mean I'm suggesting that you do everything that I did. All it means is I want you to be strategic and deliberate when you're creating your adjustment path. Don't make decisions that will lead you farther away from how you define success. Since coming back to society, I have always, part of my definition of success is trying to improve the outcomes of the criminal justice system for any justice-impacted person. And as we work through this program, I will reveal to you the different ways that I do that even today. And I finished my sentence in 2013. I started my sentence 35 years ago in August of 1987. And now it's 2022. And this is it's a new version of the Straight A Guide, because I want to be revealing in the remainder of the chapters how those decisions in prison opened opportunities, not only while I was serving the sentence, but also since I came home. Because I believe so passionately that if a person makes good decisions while they're serving the sentence, that person is going to build a stronger support network. That person is going to have more opportunities to prosper upon release. That person will be less vulnerable to the complexities that derail success for so many other people who serve time. Really, to prepare for success after release does an amazing work for anybody who wants to restore confidence and wants to grow stronger. And you don't have to listen to that only from me, but you can listen to it from some of the other people that I have interviewed for this program. I think you will like the next interview. This individual is once serving a life sentence, but because he pursued a deliberate path of preparing for success upon release, he is now home with his family. And on the Prison Professors program, you will see that I profile many people who did the same thing. They were serving life sentences and now they are home. So this is really all about what you can do to help yourself. If any person is inside of a jail or a prison, that person should really focus on saying, what can I do to be my own best advocate? What can I do to influence other people to become advocates for me? In Earning Freedom, you're going to read how I did it. And through the rest of this course, you are going to be able to see how other people did the same. But this isn't about me, and this isn't about anybody else. This course is about you. What can you do today to position yourself for the highest levels of success in the weeks, the months, the years, and the decades ahead? My name is Michael Santos, and on behalf of our entire team at Prison Professors, I really want to thank you for being a part of our community, and I genuinely, sincerely invite you to become a part of this movement to work toward improving outcomes for justice-impacted people. Do what you can do, I'll do what I can do, and together we'll work to end the injustices of mass incarceration and open opportunities for more people. I'm Michael Santos, and I believe in you. Thanks.